welcome back to the channel. Today we're out in the garden. We are getting some major improvements made to the growing space here. I'm going to take you through what we've got, why we've got them, and we're going to get some things set up here and laid out in the garden space. The SSL Family Garden Space. This is a garden made from scratch a few years ago. It's been about 4 years, and it has been continually improving, but we've had a lot of soil trouble because this is all on a hill. This is very sandy, rocky, nutrient lacking soil. One of the things that you can do if you have soil like this or a sloped location like this, a lot of runoff is happening here, so we get a lot of, especially down on this end here, a lot of the nutrients in the soil just continue to get washed away. And I have amended and I have done a lot to the soil here to make it better, but I still don't get great growth, not like I did at the farm. So if you have soil like this, one of the things you can do is you can terrace. Obviously you can terrace your spaces and amend the soil, that's fine. Or you can use raised beds. Raised beds are a great way to contain and keep your nutrients and your soil in one place so it doesn't get washed away. And so we are going to upgrade a lot of this space to raised beds. We have a bunch of raised beds to unbox. I'm going to see all of what we have and what sizes they all are and all that good stuff, and then we're going to lay things out. We're working with a company today called Vigega. I have used their raised beds in the past. They're very good, high quality. I've recommended these for many, many years. So let's get these opened up, see what we have, and then we'll start to get things laid out in the garden. The cool thing about these is that you can do all different kinds of configurations. So I have some larger ones here. I have two of the larger size, so there's different configurations but bigger. And then I have three of the smaller ones. This box looks like it has one in it and this one has two. Instructions are actually really nice. So they're easy to put together. I'll show you guys how these go together. They have a film on them that you take off and you basically just put the screws in, washers and nuts on the inside. And then there are these support bars that go across the middle to keep them from bowing. And then at the end, there's a protective rope that goes on the edge. These are the different options for this. I have the 17-inch tall. And so I'm going to be building this one, which is an 8-foot by 4-foot option. You also can make a very long bed here, so you could do a 10-foot by 2-foot. And then the smaller ones, I'm going to do a combination. I believe I'm going to do a couple of these 2-foot by 8-foots to match the length of the other ones I have. And then I'm also going to do one of these 5 by 5, so you can make kind of a square out of it. So I'm going to lay these out and we're going to build them in place, and then we're going to have to do a little bit of leveling of the ground because I want these things to sit nice and level, and on the sloped areas there you're going to have to dig one side in. So let's get this unboxed and start putting these together, see how much I can get done tonight. The hardest part might be just peeling the protective film off of all of these. It's actually not hard, it just takes a little bit of time. This is what we end up with. This is going to be the 8-foot by 4-foot. So we have the corner piece on each side. There's a longer panel that will go in between on each end, and then there's 4 of the shorter panels. And all that this comes with is, it comes with the tools. You don't even need to have wrenches or anything, just a screw gun or screwdriver. And you just have a bunch of Phillips head screws with a 10mm nut and a washer. These go on the inside. There are also these supports that go in the middle. This is one of the nice things about this brand is these supports it comes with keep it from bowing. Some of these other brand units that I've had from the past, they didn't have that, and they end up bowing out in the middle. They're not quite as strong. And most of you know this, but some of you may not. Most of your drills are going to have a drill spot here, and then they also have a clutch, and you can set this at varying resistances. So we'll test this out. We'll set it at somewhere in the middle here. I don't want to over screw these, but that gives you it'll screw it only so tight, and then it will stop so you don't strip anything out. All right, we've got two completely together, and a little tip with these. So the support rod can be put more towards the top here, the middle top or the middle bottom. The instructions show them at the middle top. It just gives a little more support on that wall. What I'm going to do is I'll use this to put it in place. Once I have this set and leveled, I'll dig the edges in, make sure it's all level. I'm going to take these out. I'm going to fill my bed with soil. I'm going to do a soil mix. I'll actually use a tiller to mix it all up. So those will be in the way for that. And then when I'm done, I'll place those back in at whatever height my soil is. So depending on how much soil I have this year, I may just do a shallow bed, and I may just put the rods down lower. And if I have a taller, I may put the rods up a little higher. I got the second one built over here. So we'll have one on each side of the entryway between the towers. We've got one over there and one over here. I really like this slate. This is called, it's a nice color. So just a couple things that people might ask. The raised beds that you get, these metal ones, they're going to last a lot longer than anything you can build from wood. These are stainless steel screws. These are going to last forever. And these are coated, they don't scratch and they don't rust. Once this is all together and when screwed together, these are very sturdy. And I have rested on these. I pry shovels on the edge of these, and they hold up very well. They don't dent. This corrugation makes them extremely strong. I'm going to do two more of the long ones. They're thinner than this. They're 2 foot by 8 foot. I'll do those on each side, one here and one over there. Those are going to get put together next. Some tips and tricks for placing raised beds. They should always be oriented north and south. I'll explain why in just a minute, but you also, as you're placing raised beds in your garden, you want to pay attention to what you're going to plant there. So you want to plan ahead a little bit because the sun is very important. For instance, this is the south side of the garden. And so, especially at the early and late seasons, the sun is angled in the sky. July and August, it's pretty straight up and down. But once we get into September and early in June, even in May, where we are now, the sun still comes down at quite an angle. So if I put things here and I put them this way, and I say I want to put a trellis on that's 4 or 5 feet tall and grow some things up in there, that's going to cast a decent shadow on the stuff that's next to it. Now I also have a path in here, so that shadow has a little bit of space to stretch out before it hits the next raised bed. You also want to pay attention to what you're planting. So the taller things should go on the north side of your garden, and all of the lower stuff, even my peppers and carrots and onions and potatoes, all that stuff's only going to grow a couple feet tall. And so that stuff can all grow up here in the front side of the garden. Trellises, generally you want to go north and south in your garden beds also. And that again is to make sure that you don't have much shade. You'll get a little bit of shade on this side early in the morning, and you'll get a little shade on this side later in the day, but you'll still get plenty of sun on the next row or raised bed, whatever it is you have. If you keep about a 30-inch path, that's usually what I do. My wheelbarrow fits through there easily, so I can move things around the garden. I can also sit easily in this spot, so I generally keep my paths 30 inches apart, but my main path coming in here is a little bit wider. That one is about 3 feet wide. I think it's time for a little time lapse of me doing some digging and leveling and getting these all leveled out. Let's get the shovel out and get these leveled. All right, we have added 5 new raised beds, and you can see everything is about 30 inches apart, and you can even see this is late morning, but the shadow won't reach that bed even from this 5-foot tall tower. This is a good example of keeping that spacing between your rows and your bed so that you have taller stuff doesn't shade out the shorter stuff. This is basically the same as terracing, just using a raised bed to do it instead of some other type of retaining wall. But you could also, I could also use bricks and create terraces that go down and create level areas, because this, especially down here, is really awful soil because it just gets washed away. The easiest thing I have found with the raised beds is to pick your highest side to level them and get that side level. So in this case, this is the highest side. Once I get this whole side straight and level, then I can start with the ends. And if I get this end down level and then this end down level, then this side should be pretty much level with a little bit of adjustments. And you can use rocks to put underneath the edges, and then you're going to backfill all that with dirt anyway, and that'll keep nice and square and level. Once these start to get filled up, if they adjust or settle at all, you can kind of wiggle the edges and get them to level back up and kick dirt underneath the edges so that you can keep them nice and straight and level. Well, the next thing we need to do is fill these raised beds with some good soil. Well, this is soil that's going to stay in here for years. We want good nutrients, we want good drainage, we want good water and moisture retention, and we want something that's loose so that we can easily plant root crops and other things. How do we do that? Well, you'll have to check out the next video. I will reveal the mystery soil mix that I use. I've used for years, and it has been amazing every time I have used it. Let me know what you guys think. We'll talk all about raised bed filling, raised beds, mixing, soil mixes. Do you put something on the bottom of raised beds? Do you need to? We will go through all of that in the next video. Thanks for tagging along. And of course, check out these raised beds. The Vigega is the brand. I will be promoting these raised beds all throughout the season. They are my favorite. I've used them for years. If you're going to grab some raised beds yourself, I'll put a link in the description and any discount codes that they offer to you guys so you can get yourself a good deal. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up on today's video. Always appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you next time.